We continue to preview the 2025 college volleyball season, and our stop today is Lima, Ohio, as we get to visit with the new head volleyball coach for the UNOH Racers, Coach Bill Bonham. Coach, first, let's start there. Congratulations on your new opportunity. Tell us a little bit about being there at UNOH.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I grew up about 90 minutes away from here in around the Tiffin, Ohio area. So I'm pretty familiar with the general vicinity. And even when I coached high school days, that brought me a lot to this area. I coached at Fremont Ross and Tiffin Columbian. So that allowed me to play the Lima schools. So I knew the Lima high schools. And then also for the longest time, and it still happens, Elida, who is just a couple miles right off the campus here, is a big stop for regional volleyball here for the state of Ohio. So that's been a big stop for our high school teams to travel through Elida to make it to the state Final Four. So definitely familiar with the area, and parents are in the area, siblings are in the area, nieces and nephews are in the area. So it's kind of nice to be back home.
I want to start there then, Coach. Let's just look at that really quickly. Announced on March 26th that you're going to be taking the helm there. How big is that? First off, I'm sure. Well, I'm going to ask. I'm not sure about anything. How much recruiting time have you had? And then to follow that up, then because you know the area well, has that benefited you already?
So one, we haven't had a whole lot of time to do the recruiting, especially some of the last minute, seniors or even some of the JUCO transfers. A lot of them were kind of already spoken for by the time we got here. So bringing in any new faces for this fall has been a little tough. But because I do know the area, I do know a lot of the club coaches. I do know obviously a lot of the JUCO coaches. And I used to know all the high school coaches at one time, but as you can imagine, that turnover rate with it being as high as it is, I don't know as many as I used to. But that has definitely helped us get the running with our recruiting. We've done a pretty good job of getting out there already and getting a lot of names. So, but I was coaching. I did come back to Ohio here for the last couple months. I've been coaching club down in Columbus at Mintonette. So that has helped, get my name back out there. So a lot of people know I've been back in the area. Definitely without the networking, I would probably be a lot farther behind for sure.
I know too that you coached at St. John's River for the last couple of years as well, and a national runner-up finish too in the NJCAA. How has that gone to be able to do the club volleyball and the JUCO volleyball too?
When I was in Florida, it was tough. I started to do some club when I was down there, but it was just too tough because we had indoor and beach. So it was two sports, two separate seasons, two separate rosters, two separate budgets, everything. So that was tough. It was year round. The recruiting never stopped. The training never stopped. We went right from one season to another. We did have a lot of the same players that played both sports, indoor and beach, but definitely that was a lot tougher way to go. A lot of the colleges right now are splitting their rosters and their coaching staff, and the indoor and the beach programs are separate. But at SJR, we were still kind of one program running two different teams there. So that was definitely tough down in Florida. Back here, it's been a little easier because UNOH, we just have the women's program here. So, we don't have the spring season as far as beach goes, and we don't have like Lourdes. I'm friends with Greg up at Lourdes. I know he has the men's team as well. So he's pretty busy in the spring, and I know that's tough on him. So we don't have that here. So we have been able to kind of jump in here and not be under pressure right away. So that has helped us quite a bit.
We had a chance to visit with Coach Wrights just recently, as well as Coach Kreiner too. He was at the helm there at Northwestern Ohio just prior to your coming in. Who said hi to you, by the way? He knew I was going to get to visit with you sometime soon. The Racers last season, I want to talk about this a little bit. 24 going into 25, 19-18 overall. 9-9 in conference play, just about as 500 as you can get. So, I'm sure a lot of pros and cons and all that. What do you know about the program coming in, and are there things that you're looking at to make adjustments to right off the bat?
So I've known Josh Obviously over the years through, just crossing paths and getting to know each other more and more. I didn't know a whole lot about his roster coming in. Kind of familiar with the conference, again, from being from the general area, kind of know the conference a little bit, not as much as others, but probably the biggest thing that anybody would tell you right now is one of the biggest impact players here at UNOH is Gianna Sanfilippo. And Gianna played for me at St. John's River down in Florida. So her coming here first, obviously, the connection with Josh helped that happen for her sake. But then also for me coming here, it kind of gives me a familiar face and it gives her a familiar face as far as new coaches go. But outside of Gianna, I didn't know a whole lot about the players. Josh did a lot of recruiting out of state, so he doesn't have the connections that I have here in Ohio. So we're kind of recruiting two different bases. So it's been a learning process for me, learning who the current players are and seeing what we got going on versus, going to a program where maybe I would have known some of the other in-state players. But yeah, so it's been a learning process for me for sure. I don't know the girls that well. At least I didn't as of 2 months ago. But over the last couple months, I've gotten to know, the top 6 to 10 kids pretty well.
And you're right about that 2-month mark right now as of the recording of this video here in late May. I would imagine then, okay, 2 months there, maybe not as much time to recruit, but enough time to at least see that roster some in spring ball too. So I want to ask you about that as we move on along here. We're visiting with Coach Bill Bonham, who is the new head volleyball coach for Northwestern Ohio. Coach, then with that springtime, what do you see then? And are there some players, you mentioned Gianna, are there some players that are stepping up and that may be able to have an impact for you this season?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're hoping to do. And I know Josh had, his ways of doing things, and that's what's different about all coaches. Everybody has a different strategy and different philosophy. And I've been fortunate enough to learn from a lot of higher level coaches, and I've been around for quite a while and been doing this for 30 years. So I've learned to teach and break down some things quite a bit. So I think that's maybe the advantage I have right now is we can feed off of what Josh has already done and what the girls already know. And now we can kind of break that down and analyze that even some more and help maybe their fundamentals and the mechanics in some ways. And kind of, the sport of volleyball can be won and lost on mistakes only. You can win a match and never really play that well because the other team makes a lot of mistakes. So, you talk about that 500 record, there's a lot of flip of the coin nights, when you have a 500 record. So if we can maybe fix some of those mistakes that they kind of made, maybe get a little more discipline in the gym, I think the girls can maybe come up with some of those wins, some of those close matches that they didn't win last year. So just a different way of teaching the game and breaking down the game. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I told them I'm not here to reinvent the wheel by any means, but we are here to maybe change up the point of view a little bit and how we approach things. So the spring has shown me what the girls are capable of. Definitely a lot of athleticism. We just need to kind of fine tune that a little bit and minimize those mistakes. But yeah, we've had some good athletes have really stepped up. Elias Saylor has really been playing really well as a right side hitter this spring. I think she's going to be somebody we can lean on pretty good. We have Savannah Reed coming back as our setter. She'll be one of the seniors there with Gianna. And then Shay Dubose on the outside. She played outside last year. We're probably looking at moving her back to the middle this year. She's just so quick on her feet and can get up vertically. So kind of, looking to see what they can do. We have Amelia, and I'm going to probably screw up her name here. I don't know how she says that. Prolik. She's from Serbia, so I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly for the Serbians. But
I saw how it was spelled, so I at least understand. I feel you, Coach. I do. It's
right.
It takes a little bit.
Right. She was coming back from a knee injury when Josh had her, and so she's been getting better and getting her timing back and getting stronger. So she's going to be a good one to have back. She can help us out in the middle as well as far as the right side. So, I think if we can get a little help on the outside. We're going to have some young kids come in and help us out on the outside position and work on our defense a little bit. That's going to be our main focus. We have some, like I said, we have the big guns coming back for the offensive side. I think we just need to kind of get that defensive side going a little bit. And maybe we find one or two of those freshmen that Josh brought in to surprise us. And maybe we find one or two more here before the summer's over too to bring in. But I will say, here's one I do get to talk about is, I did coach at Owens Community College up in Toledo. And I did reach out to them already, and I kind of stole one of their players from them. So we're bringing in another setter. She's just finishing up her freshman year, going to be a sophomore transfer setter / outside hitter. Paige Hoodelbrink will be joining our squad, and she's going to be a nice athlete to help run the offense and hopefully help score some points for us as well.
Well, Coach, that's very 2025 of you to go ahead and say it like that. And no, and it's where we are. So you do that, and you reach out, I'm sure, as often as you can. The season gets underway in August, and you all will be traveling over to Fort Wayne August 22nd and 23rd. Of course, you have the WHAC schedule a little bit later on, but tell us about the pre-conference schedule.
Yeah, so we'll be going out to Fort Wayne, and my understanding is, that's always a tough tournament to play in. And if anybody that follows volleyball, especially the club circuit, that Indiana is really pretty strong in volleyball, top to bottom. There's a lot of great coaches and a lot of great clubs over there, which means, the colleges are recruiting out of their backyards and building those teams up pretty solid over there. So, and Fort Wayne is definitely kind of a center point for club volleyball right now. A lot of good clubs over there. So definitely going to be a good test for us to go over there and see what we have and, see where we kind of stand and what we need to work on that first weekend. We'll play 4 matches over there the first weekend. And then the second weekend, we go down to Rio Grande, and we're going to kind of do the same thing, go down there and play some tough teams. And Rio has a pretty good squad right now as well. So they're going to, with them hosting and being as tough as they are, I'm sure there'll be some tough teams there as well. So we're going to get tested in the first 10 days of the season for sure. And kind of see, probably take some licks and see what we need to work on, in the gym when we come back to practice. Like you said, we'll start the WAC conference right away. It'll be a 20 match season this year with Concordia not having athletics. So, we'll do 10 home and 10 away. So, preseason is going to happen fast. We're going to have to figure out real quick what we need to do here in August and September before we get too deep into the conference play.
And that is very much a full schedule, no doubt, to have that many matches in the regular season. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking time to talk about that with us here today on Midwest Sports Net. And we're going to follow the UNOH Racers over the course of this season. Coach Bill Bonham in his first season with the program. Again, thanks for taking some time, and we're happy to see you at the helm now.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out, and thanks for having us.